Hey, what's going on, people? It's SGZ here from the SpartanGameZone, and in this video I'll be counting down the top 10 recently buffed legendary weapons in Borderlands 3. These guns have been the beneficiaries of hotfixes throughout August, which have transformed some into killing machines you wouldn't even recognize. Others have just gotten better. If you're just coming back or hunting down the latest meta, this is the video for you, and I'll be telling you where you can get them, what unique effects they have, and what you need to do to get the most out of each gun. There were a bunch of weapon buffs this month, and I'll be judging them based on how they perform now and how much better they've gotten. I plan to run one at the end of each month as long as there's enough buffs to cover, so look out for the next one. And let me know what buff you were most happy to see. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like, and let's crack into it. We open this countdown of the top 10 buffed weapons in August 2020 with the Cutsman, a melee 1 SMG which has an increased chance to drop from Borman Nates. You fight in this area of the Meridian outskirts. The Cutsman received a decent 20%-ish buff, which isn't enough to put it back on top of the SMG pedestal, but it is a welcome increase nonetheless. Because it's part of the melee 1 arsenal, it must be charged before firing, and deals high elemental damage. It fires a pair of elemental projectiles that travel slowly and move apart as they do so. A deadly laser is formed between the two and will slice through anything and everyone, at least until they hit a world surface. All you need to do is line them up and the Cutsman will deal with the pack, slicing through all enemies caught in its wake. Next up we have the Storm, a melee 1 sniper rifle that has an increased chance to drop from Red Jabber. You fight around here in the Amber Mire. I find the Storm to be incredibly fun to use, and it's been made even more enjoyable through its damage increase and charge time reduction. Here's the card prior to its buff, and here's the one afterwards. It consumes the 2 ammo per shot with high impact damage at a nice splash damage radius. It would be good if it stopped there, but it goes beyond that by summoning 8 elemental orbs after each shot, which rise into the air and arc heavy voltage into your opponents. As its name suggests, it only comes in shock, but it performs that role extremely well, stripping shields off groups of enemies effortlessly. Its secondary effect is also great for keeping your damage rolling and giving you that lifesteal when you really need it. At number 8 is the Explosion, a non-elemental Jacob sniper rifle that may as well be made by Torg. It can only be dropped by King Bobo after the side quest Rumble in the Jungle, and you fight him here in Voracious Canopy. The Explosion is no ordinary sniper. It doesn't shoot standard rounds. Instead, it shoots explosive rounds that do some heavy damage. No one paid attention to it before, but thanks to its big damage boost, people are starting to notice. It's hard not to. The damage it deals is enough on its own, but its ricochet effect makes it even better. Not 1 but 3 bullets ricochet into surrounding enemies on critical hits, making it better at handling crowds than a typical Jacob's weapon. And because the damage of the initial shot is high, the ricocheting projectiles pack a punch too. It's a unique sniper rifle dealing high critical and explosive damage. There's no other gun that does that, and means it caters to players in ways that no other gun can. I'm talking about splash damage Moes, who can expand the devastation caused by the explosive rounds. It's a force on her, keeping the typical strengths of the Jacob sniper rifle, but explosifying them. Number 7 greets us with the Hyper Focus, which is manufactured by Hyperion and has an increased chance to drop from the Go-Go Power Troopers. You fight here in Atlas HQ. It's another gun that was good before but became enhanced with a hotfix, increasing its damage by almost 25%. The hyperfocus can come in every element, which is great, and fires a single projectile that splits off into two more when in contact with an enemy. The extra pellets are fired out each side at a 90-degree angle and will ricochet once off a world surface. The ricochet effect is where it gets its damage from, as they often rebound back into your target, upping its damage by 200%. That happens more often than not unless you're in a completely open space, and the damage that comes from that is very nice. You have to position yourself correctly, but it's straightforward enough, and the ricocheting projectiles do some serious work. It's great at proccing kill skills on a Seeing Dead Zane or Bounty Hunter Flak, as the projectiles are constantly impacting enemies. If you want to maximize its damage, look for the consecutive hits anointment, as it synergizes extremely well with its ricochet effect. Appearing at number 6 is the Saw Bar, another weapon like the Headsplosion to get heavily buffed. It's manufactured by COV, only comes in fire, and has an increased chance to drop from Borman nades, who again, you fight around here in the Meridian outskirts. The Saw Bar returns as a legendary in Borderlands 3, downgraded from pearlescent status in Borderlands 2. It has the same large magazine size, deals good damage, and fires at a solid pace. The main drawcard for the Saw Bar is its projectile pattern, firing a single projectile that splits off into 3 after travelling pretty damn far. After dispersing, the extra projectiles explode, creating a wall of fire, dousing any nearby enemies in flames. The radius is large enough to crispen multiple enemies at once, and the pattern can help you to hit hard to reach enemies. As I touched on, its unique effect only activates after the bullet has travelled about 20 meters and won't do so otherwise. That's why, to get the most out of it, you want to be at that correct range, which can be difficult, but once you're used to it, you will unearth a formidable assault rifle. Another assault rifle finds its place halfway through at number 5, the Ogre, which has appeared in every main Borderlands game. It has an increased chance to drop from Anointed Alpha. You fight around here in the Anvil. The Ogre is like the Shredder Fire, but if something went wrong in the manufacturing plant that made it act all funny. Explosive rounds spew out of its barrel with no sense to them whatsoever, coming out in a wide spread and monstering their way through your target. Because it's made by Vladoff, it has an incredible magazine size and fires at a rapid pace. It's simply unrelenting. It doesn't care how much bullets you fire, it just wants to kill things. Recoil has a mind of its own, and the explosive rounds certainly make an impact. They don't travel very fast though, and because of their spread, the Ogre is best suited to close ranges. Not too close though, or you'll end up downing yourself, but overall it's a great assault rifle, perfect for splash damage builds, or anyone that just wants to cause some havoc. Up next we have the Smog, a Hyperion SMG that can only be obtained from the gauntlet that is the Guardian Takedown, and drops from its final boss. It can come in every element, fires at a moderate pace, and was a receiver of its second and most substantial buff. Like the redistributor from the Maliwan Takedown, it's another Hyperion weapon largely tailored to Zane. It deals amp damage and encourages the use of his barrier, but in a different way. The Smog is the only gun currently to make proper use of the Hyperion trait, that is, their front-facing shield. When active, its damage is amplified tremendously, much more so since its buff, and you receive a higher bonus the larger its capacity is. Because of that, you want to protect its shield by not getting hit, and Zane can do that the best. When full, the Smog will blast enemies, dealing heavy damage at a steady rate. Your opponents will find it hard to breathe when they see it in your hands, making it that much easier to defeat them. Third place, and it's the Tig's Boom, which I think has been buffed for the 4th time now and can only be obtained by defeating Wotan, the final boss of the Maliwan Takedown. It's a unique Torg weapon, coming in every element and firing a typical shotgun round that brings with it a flurry of meteors that rain down on whatever you've hit. The initial shots are the precursor to what comes next, signaling the meteor's drop points, which crash down in a fiery rage. Its magazine size is generally small, around that 3 to 5 range, but you don't really notice it. The meteors feel like bullets themselves, but big and deadly. It's the perfect shotgun if you ever want to call on the heavens, although the meteors can fail to land and will down you if you get too close. At number 2 is the Leuda, a peak sniper rifle in Borderlands 2 and one of the original powerhouse weapons in Borderlands 3 until it was heavily nerfed. Now though, things have come full circle and it's back near the top again. It has an increased chance to drop from Tremendous Rex, the final boss of the Cistern of Slaughter. It's a flat-off sniper rifle that can come in any element with a high fire rate and decent magazine size. The hotfix increased its damage almost twofold and gave it a nice reload speed boost, which puts very little stoppage between dealing and not dealing damage. It fires a single bullet that splits off into 2 more after travelling a short while. The key to maximizing its damage is in that split off point. When all the projectiles hit your target, the Leuda will tear through them, and to do that you want to be at that medium range level. It acts like a 40 cal Gatling gun and handles incredibly well for it, although it does kick steadily and hip firing isn't super accurate. Not many enemies will be able to survive sustained fire from it, and as long as there's still ammo in it, enemies will cower at your knees. Before number 1 is uncovered, let's give a shout out to the Monocle, a gun that I have been disappointed to get for so long, until its monster buff just last week. It has an increased chance to drop from demo Skaggins you can find frolicking around here in the droughts. It's another non-elemental Jacob sniper rifle, but with a twist. It's one of very few guns to actually encourage sniping, as it rewards players with a whopping 350% critical damage boost while scoped. Yes, this is Borderlands 3's version of Modern Warfare 2's Intervention. If you want a quick scope in Borderlands 3, this is the gun to do it with. Especially if you rock Flak, it's a beast on him. Pulling one off is pure satisfaction. Scoping in and popping heads is what this gun is made for. It's great fun, and I certainly won't be disappointed to see it drop anymore, although that will take a little getting used to. Number 1 has arrived. We made it to the Cool Kids Club, and who heads it? The Star Helix, of course. One of the earlier buffs this month, and it was huge. Here's the before and after comparison of the same weapon, and you can see what I mean. Like the Hyperfocus, it has an increased chance to drop from the Go-Go Power Troopers you fight here in Atlas HQ. The Star Helix is an absolute machine, built to destroy. It fires 3 projectiles in a linear pattern that vibrate as they travel. They are fairly spread out and you can't tighten them by aiming, so you want to use it in close ranges where you can maximize its DPS. That DPS is incredible. The Slaughter Shaft was no match for it. It would cut through them like they weren't even there. It's a weird gun coming in a limited number of flavors, those being radiation, cryo, shock or non-elemental. I find radiation to be the best out of what's available. It's a fantastic weapon all round, an assault rifle that deals heavy damage at a high fire rate. It shreds through enemy after enemy, leaving a trail of destruction and only consuming the 1 bullet per shot. It was good before its buff, but now it's hit another level, a new prestige. The next king is born. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned of the top 10 recently buffed legendary weapons in August 2020. If you did, consider dropping a like or subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.